This morning, something crazy happened. There's a particular building in Savannah that, interestingly enough, 6 years ago was for rent. And 6 years ago, I toured it with a real estate agent. It was too much for Oliver Bentleys at the time. The space was too large. The price was too high. And interestingly enough, for the last 6 years, at least 4 or 5 times a week, I've driven down East York Street and looked at it and thought, God, I love that building. It needs a little facelift, needs a little pressure washing on the outside. The awning needs to be replaced. The big barn door needs a little TLC. But man, just its presence. And I remember what it was like inside. It was amazing. And this morning, guess what? There's a for rent sign in the door. And it looks like it's handwritten. It looks like it's the landlord. Now, what actually has happened is that I noticed that the tenant in this space had vacated weeks ago. Again, I drive by the building almost every day, but there was no for rent sign out front. And I just assumed that it must already be rented because it's such a cool space. So I didn't think much about it. But then a couple weeks went by and still no movement inside. So I actually called a real estate friend of mine and asked, how do you locate the owner of a property? And she helped me with the website and I found the landlord's name. That was yesterday. Today, there's a for rent sign in the door. So I called. And sure enough, the number is directly to the landlord. No intermediary, right to the owner. We talked, I introduced myself, and I would love to come to a walkthrough. We have set up a day and time for me, 6 years later, to go walk through a space that I already know I'm going to fall in love with it. But now it comes down to the nuts and bolts and the economics. I wonder if after driving by and looking at it for 6 years, if this is something the company should do and can do. So I'm not going to jump too far ahead. I'm not going to get too excited. I'm going to meet the landlord and we'll just take it one step at a time. In the meantime, there's work that has to get done. I have to stamp bags to go out to Amazon, have to make a delivery over to Savannah Bee Company. Basically, we got to keep the wheel rolling. But today may be one of those moments in a company's life cycle that could change everything.